Alright. So last week you learned an introduction to project management. So I've explained to you what is project management. So project management is a discipline. Okay, so concerned with doing planning, organizing, what else? Controlling and etc. Okay, so you can see there's a list of project management tasks. Okay, so if you are the project manager, those are the main work that you have to do. Okay, planning, organizing, controlling, and so on. So what's a project? Characteristic of project. So project are non-routine activities. So software project versus other type of projects. So there are 4 differences mentioned in the table. Okay, and changes in software project. So what are the changes faced by project managers, faced by developers, and faced by the client? So the project life cycle, 4 stages. Project life cycle processes are the major activities in the 4 stages. So every project that you handle will go through the 4 stages. Project appraisal and evaluation. So you need to do cash flow forecasting. Cash flow forecasting gives you an idea when you have to spend money and when you start getting income. Okay, and at the end. And at the end, there's also a small cost where you have to spend to remove system from operation. Cost and benefit analysis. So you may have several projects, but you cannot do them. You cannot do all of them. So you choose those that are most beneficial. So how to choose? Okay, so use financial techniques to determine which project is most profitable. So you learn financial techniques such as net profit, payback period, return on investment, NPV. So these are financial techniques. So today you will look at 1 non-financial techniques, then followed by 1.4 knowledge and attributes of a project manager. So there are many areas of knowledge that a project manager need to gain. So last part will be project management failure. Okay. So this is a non-financial techniques for choosing projects. So non-financial technique is called weighted scoring model. So using this technique, specify the relevant criterion for project selection. Okay, so you specify the relevant criteria for project selection. Then you weight the importance of each criterion. So NPV, ROI can be the criterion. Alright, so these are the criteria. You specify what are the criteria for project selection. Okay, support business objective, availability of resources, strong sponsor, and customer support low risk, high probability of project success. Okay, so you can include NPV as one of the criteria. Alright, so specify the criteria for project selection. If you choose a FIP supervisor, I think you also have a criteria. You know supervisor A, supervisor B, supervisor C. You may have the criteria for supervisor selection. Do you have criteria? No. You choose. You don't choose. You let them. You let the committee assign to you. Cannot choose. Korean, sorry. for some student, I think for some batches, the student can choose. I think for other batches, student can choose. For some batches, student cannot choose. For some batches, student can choose who they want to be the FIP supervisor. Can you choose? You can choose. Do you have a criteria to choose? You have a criteria. Right? You know a few. You know a few. You may have maybe a few in mind. After thinking, you decided one. So you may have the criteria. Okay. So this is for your FIP. You may have a criteria to choose. Maybe your criteria is friendly. Okay, friendly. The supervisor is friendly. Any other criteria? Is friendly one? You see, is friendly important? Probability of pass is high, or probability to score is high. Okay, so that's the criteria for selecting FIP supervisor. So for real project, this may be the criteria. Okay, so within scoring model, you specify the criteria for project selection. Okay, all the criteria that you can specify. Then you weight the importance of each criteria. Okay, weight the importance of each criteria. So if the criteria is important, you give a higher percentage. So total must be 100%, cannot be more than 100%. Cannot be more, cannot be less. So all the criteria add up is 100%. Okay, so the criteria, the weight, so more important, the higher is the percentage. So total must be 100% here. So that is the first step. Then you have project 1, 2, and 3. So assign a score. Okay, so assign a score for each project. For each project, assign a score from 0 to 100 to each criterion. So 90 means, okay, so you may give, for project 2, you may give a 90 score for this criterion. So 90 means this criteria is very important. This criteria is very important for project 2. Okay, and for project 3, the same criteria is less important. So you give a smaller number. So you assign a number for each criteria for each project. Then you calculate the score. Okay, you calculate the score for each project based on these two numbers. So example, weighted project score for project 2 is 10% is 0.1. 0.1 multiply 90, 0.1 multiply 70, 0.5 multiply 90. So you sum up. You get 86 for project 2, 78 for project 1, 50 for project 3. So you choose, okay? So based on weighted scoring model, you choose project with the highest score. Okay, you choose project with the highest score. Okay, so for project selection, you can use financial techniques or you can use non-financial techniques. Okay, or you can use mixture of them. So the next topic is knowledge and attributes of a project manager. So a project manager needs to have knowledge in 10 areas. Scope management, time management, cost management, quality management, blah, 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 and integrating all this knowledge. Okay, and also have the ability to make use of all this knowledge. Okay, so these are the knowledge area integration scope time until stakeholder management. So PLC is project life cycle stage 1 and 2, project life cycle stage 3, project life cycle stage 4. So project life cycle stage 3, which is performing the project. Okay, so need to make use of all this knowledge area. So you have to memorize the content of this table, just to give you an idea. Okay, when the project manager need to apply all this knowledge area. Okay, all these knowledge area are required when performing a project. Okay, the first knowledge area that a project manager need to have is project scope management. Okay, so project scope management is define and control what work is and is not included in a project. So what work is, that means in this project what you will do, okay, and what you will do, okay, you will not do work that will not be included in the project. In other words, what is not included is the exclusion. Okay, so it's good to specify what is work and what is not work. Example, not included or exclusion. For example, you can tell client, okay, you do unit test, you do module test, you do system test, integration test, user acceptance test. So what kind of test that you will not do? Example, usability test, okay? Unless client is willing to pay extra, because usability test is considered as additional work. So the software development model you use to develop software, you will do the unit test, module test, system test, okay? But you will not do usability test. Okay, if you want us to do the usability test, perhaps, okay, you have to charge them extra. So that when a project is completed, there's no argument. Okay, so that when a project completed, there's no argument. So when a project is completed, user complete, the system is so difficult to use. Okay. Why you didn't do usability test? Okay. Why you didn't use usability? I thought you know usability test is usually not included in the project. Okay, so don't assume client know. Okay. So it's good that everything is spelled out. Okay, what is included and what would not be included. So what other kind of tests that you may exclude or not included? It can be stress test, DDoS test. Okay. If you are not doing this, perhaps, okay, you can spell out all this. You know what's DDoS? DDoS, denial of service. Okay. So scope management define and control what work is and is not. Okay, also in space what are the exclusion. So main activities in scope management are plan scope management, collect requirement, define scope, create work breakdown structure. WBS is work breakdown structure. So validate the scope. So once you have written the scope, okay, validate the scope is ask customer to confirm the scope. Okay, so control scope is control changes to the scope. Okay, so plan scope management. So the first activity in scope management is plan scope management. So define project scope, validate, control project scope. So followed by collect requirements from client. Okay, then define features and functions of the product to be produced. So define scope, create scope statement, adding more information as requirements are developed and change requests are approved. So this scope, the scope here and the scope here, so at this stage the scope is more detailed compared at the beginning, because after collecting requirements, you have a better idea, okay, what the customer wants. Okay, so the scope here and here is different. So here is more detailed. So next step is create work breakdown structure. So this is work breakdown structure. So work breakdown structure is a hierarchy of activities. Okay, so list down what are the work and group them appropriately. Okay, so group them appropriately. Show the hierarchy. Okay, so guideline for creating work breakdown structure. So break down the work until each task can be performed by one person within 8 to 80 hours. 8 to 80 hours is equal to 10 days. So meaning, so this is a task that cannot, if a task can be broken down further, you break it down further. Okay, so break it down further until it cannot be broken down anymore further. So each task is performed by one person. So maximum for duration for one task is 10 days. Okay. One task, maximum 10 days, it is performed by one person. Okay, so in your assignment, I do not want to see one task and there are two names. Okay, so one task with two names means one task is performed by two persons. It's not a good idea to have, it's not a good idea one task is performed by two persons. Let one task be responsible by one person. Why a task should not be more than 10 days? My question is, why a task should not be more than 10 days? If one task can be more than 10 days, you can just have 1.2. You don't need this. Okay, you don't need this. Correct, no? So this one 40 days. You put this 40 days, then you don't need this. Okay, if one task maximum is 10 days, then you need this one 10 days, 10 days, 10 days, 10 days. Okay, 40 days. If you allow one task more than 40 days, you can do this. This is not required. Alright? So the problem with this is, so the problem with this is, ten days, okay. After 20 days, still haven't start. Okay, after 20 days, still haven't start. This one, after 20 days, still haven't start. Still got 20 days now. Okay. In your heart, you say, hey, I still have 20 days. Okay, but 10 days, 10 days, 10 days, 10 days. Okay. After 20 days, you still haven't started. Oh my God. This one still, you have, that means you still have 20 days left to do 4 tasks. You have 20 days to do 4 tasks. You still have 20 days to do 1 task. Okay, you can see how serious is the problem. If you have the detail, then you can see how serious is the problem. You have missed this and missed this. Okay, now you have 20 days left to do all this work. Okay, so that's the reason why this is recommended. Okay, so 1 task, 10 days, only 1 person. So 10 days is 2 weeks. Okay, you have 2 weeks to complete 1 task. I think that's reasonable. Okay, so work breakdown structure. So this is a sample work breakdown structure. Okay, organize it by phases or stages in outline numbering format. Alright, so identify the tasks, group them appropriately, put them in the logical sequence. So there are how many phases or stages in this work breakdown structure? You look at this work breakdown structure, there are how many phases or stages? Coming back to this, you are doing FYP1, FYP2, or you are doing both. You have a project plan. I don't know how detailed is your project plan. I think it's not as detailed as this one. Okay, you may have the stages. I think many of you still may think that, oh, we still have a lot of time. You may not realize if you have the breakdown, how many tasks you have missed and how much catch up you have to do. Okay, so here how many stages or phases? Okay, 5. Okay, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 stages or 5 milestones. Okay, so 5 phases or 5 stages or 5 milestones. Okay, so we have created a work breakdown structure, arrange work breakdown structure in logical sequence, indent subtasks. Okay, indent. So meaning this 4 belongs to this one, 1.2. Don't do like this. Okay, don't do like this because it is hard to see the relationship. Okay, it's very difficult to see the relationship. Okay, validate scope. Okay, so validate scope. So let customer or project sponsor inspect and formally accept deliverables. Okay, so let customer or project sponsor. So project sponsor is the one who want to see the project success, or is the one who is paying for the project. Okay, so let customer or project sponsor inspect the project scope, okay, and approve the scope. Okay, so if not acceptable, okay, get a change request. Okay, obtain a formal change request. Okay, so control scope. Control changes to the project scope throughout the life of a project. Okay, so when a project is started, you may receive, a project manager may receive new requirement, minor changes or major changes. Whether it's for minor or major, okay, you have to control all these changes. Okay, so there's scope management. Okay, scope, what is work and what is not. Okay, next, time management. For time management, 7 main processes. 7 main processes means 7 major activities. Plan, schedule, management, define activities, sequence activities, estimate activity resources, estimate activity duration, debug schedule, control schedule. Okay, plan, schedule, management. Okay, so plan, schedule, management, establish the policy, procedure, and documentation for planning, developing, managing, executing, and controlling the project schedule. This is work breakdown structure. Okay, so this is a work breakdown structure. After you added the start date, the end date, the duration, the dependency, you can see the schedule. Okay, so when you plan the schedule, when planning the schedule, you have to establish policy, procedure, and documentation for planning, developing, managing, executing, and controlling the project schedule. Alright, so for policy, so when you're planning, planning the project schedule, you may need to establish a policy such as for duration. For duration, unit of measurement is days. Okay, so use days for duration. Okay, so all projects should follow this policy. Okay, all projects should follow this policy. The unit of measurement for duration is days. You don't use one task for days, another task you use hour. Okay, it will be very confusing and difficult to manage. Use standard duration. If days, all days. If weeks, then all weeks. If hours, then all in hours. Don't mix. Okay. Another policy is duration for each task should not be more than 10 days. Okay. This is policy. This is another example of policy. When you are doing the schedule, unit of measurement is days. Okay. One task maximum 10 days. When you have a written policy like this, all project managers in the company or all staff in the company need to follow. Okay. So date, use DD, YYY format. Okay. So policy for date format. Okay. So you don't use DD, in one project, DD in another project. This will cause confusion. Any other policy that you want to give? procedure that you want to establish. In UMT, what are the policies that you have? Can you name one of the policy established by UMT? Example of policy for examiners and for exam. Okay, you can only enter the exam menu 15 minutes after 15 minutes before the exam start. Okay. So you have to fill in the attendance slip. Let's say the exam is from 9 to 11. 9 to 11. After 10:30, you cannot surrender your exams answer script. This is policy. 10:30 you cannot submit exam one. You want to go early before 10:30. This is policy. Also cannot go to toilet after 10:30. Okay, so these are policy is documented. So every student must be seated at a certain seat number. You cannot, no free sitting. You cannot sit where you like. The seat is allocated for your paper. This policy. Okay, you understand policy? Okay, must take attendance. So the procedure for taking attendance is fill out the attendance slip. That's the procedure. Okay, so back to here. Project time management. So what is the first thing to do is plan schedule management. Okay, so establish policy, procedure, documentation for planning, developing, blah blah blah, project schedule. So this is a project schedule. Okay, next is define activities. Okay, so define activities, identify specific activities from the work breakdown structure. Okay, so use the work breakdown structure to define activities. So output from here is activity list, activity attributes, and milestone list. So you know what's activity list? Activity lists are all the tasks that team members need to perform are the activity list. So activity attributes. Okay, so activity attributes are additional information that you want to mention about the activity. Example like description of the activity, you may want to describe the activity. The person responsible for the activity. So resources required to perform the activity, type of effort, and location. Okay, where is this task is being performed? So milestone list. Okay, so milestone list is the project stages. Okay, so milestone list is referring to project stages. Milestone list is for who? Who wants the milestone list? Team members may want to see activity list. Okay, what the tasks team members need to perform. So project stages. project stages or milestones are usually needed by managers, okay? Managers or the top management. Top management doesn't interested in the activity list, the detailed project tasks. They're not interested. They want to know the project stages, the summary of the project, what are the stages. If top management asks you, give me the milestone report. I want the milestone report. What does it mean? If someone asks you, please give me the milestone report. So meaning that person want to see what stages are completed and what stages have not started. That's what bosses want to know. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, sequence activities. So once you have identified the list of activities that you have to do, then you put them in the correct sequence. Okay, you put them in the correct sequence to show the relationship between project activities. So here you can see the relationship between project activities. So what this tells you is, after this finish, then this one should start. Okay, and you can see here the relationship between activities are the task is performed one after another. Task is performed one after another. That's the relationship. I don't see there's any task that can be performed at the same time. I do not see here. Sequence activities, okay, show what is performed and what's next. So output is the project schedule, okay, so this is the Gantt chart. So this part shows the relationship between project activities. Here show you the relationship between project activities. You can't see it from here. Okay, it's not easy. You can see, but it's very difficult. Okay, it's very difficult. You see from here relationship between activities. It is one after another. So number 4 is estimate the amount of resources, people, equipment, and materials needed to perform the activities. So each bar is an activity. Each bar is an activity, so you can specify who perform this task, what are the equipment needed to perform this task. When this task is performed, you can add in the information and display it. That one is estimate activity resources. Okay, number 5, estimate duration, okay, days or weeks needed to complete individual activities. Okay, so output is project schedule. So you have activities, you put them in the correct sequence. So next thing is what will be the appropriate duration for each activities. For each activities, how many days are required? Okay, estimate. Okay, so last is control schedule. Okay, so control and manage changes to the project schedule. So the project schedule will change when a new requirement is received and it has been approved. Okay, so when new requirements received and is approved, the project schedule will change and you have to update the project schedule. Okay. So what's next is cost management. Okay, so project cost management. So project cost management is to ensure that a project team complete a project within approved budget. Okay, so for processes, okay, plan cost management always start with planning, estimate cost, determine budget, control cost. Okay, so plan cost management same lah. Establish policy, procedure, documentation for planning, managing, spending, and controlling project costs. Estimate cost. Estimate cost. Okay, so estimate cost is to estimate cost. Estimate cost is to estimate cost need to know or. So to estimate cost, okay, so to estimate cost, need to know all the resources needed to complete the project. Example, people, equipment, material, hardware, software. To estimate cost correctly, okay, you need to know what are the people needed, how many of them, any specialized equipment needed to do the project, okay, materials, okay, hardware, software. So output is cost estimate and basis of estimate. So basis of estimate referring to what are the assumptions that you make, what are the assumptions that you have made to produce this cost estimate. Okay, estimating project costs. So these are the cost items. Okay, so these are the cost items by category. Cost item, not straight line, group them. Okay, so related costs, put them into one category, not a straight line. Straight line is difficult to comprehend. So these are cost items. January, February, March, April, blah blah blah, December. This is a 12-month cost estimate. This one is January, February, March. 12 is December. So each item, what's the total? The total for each item, the total cost for each month below. Okay, so below is the total for each month. So when you put in this number, all these are costs. When you put in this number, what assumption you have made? When you put in this number, you may make an assumption. So basis of cost estimate is what assumption have you made? What's the assumption? Anyone? So project manager 8,000 from January to December. Project team members 12,000. Okay. Contractors start from February until the end. Halfway only in April, May. So basis of assumption, if you look at project manager, the assumption is we assume that there's no increment during the project duration. That's why the number is the same. So assumption make is there's no salary, no increase in salary. If you want to include, there may be adjustment in the project manager's salary during the project duration. Maybe your assumption is he may have salary adjustment from July to December. Then you put 8,000, 10,000. Okay, 8,000, then 10,000, 10,000. So when people ask you why first 6 months is 8,000, then 10,000, you can say I make an assumption that there is a revision of salary of the project manager. So this cost estimate is assuming that the project manager's salary will remain the same throughout the project. Okay. So hardware, handheld devices, server. 30,000, 30,000, 8,000, 8,000. Payment is by 2 installments. Okay, it's not a lump sum. Okay, total for handheld devices 30,000, 30,000. You make 2 payments. Okay, you make 2 payments. Server also make 2 payments. Or the assumption can be you buy the first server in April, then you buy another server in May. Okay. So when people ask you why 8,000, 8,000, you have to explain. Okay. Why there's no cost here? Because you only need the devices in April. Because you need the devices in May. So you don't need the devices in the first 3 months. Okay, one more discussion about this cost estimate. Look at number 5, training and support. Okay, training and support, project team members. Okay, project team members. Project team members start from July to December. Training and support. Project team members. You don't have to follow exactly. Okay, don't follow exactly. Put the number where it is logical. Okay. So example, training. Let's say I cancel the support. So training for team members. Training for team members, I may want to put it in January only. I want to give them training at the beginning of the project so that they can do a better work. Okay. So for example, you use what you think are relevant and put the number in the right place. Okay. So these are costs. Okay, so these are costs. So the total cost for each item, total cost for each month. So cost is the forecasted amount to pay to complete a project. So this slide is to explain to you what is the difference between cost and budget. Okay. So cost is a forecasted amount to pay to complete a project. So these are the project costs. per item per month. Okay, so after you determine the cost, then you can plan for budget. Okay, you do this first, then only you plan the budget. Alright, so budget is the spending plan. Budget is a spending plan. So anticipated amount of money to spend from time to time to complete a project. So budget is the amount of money that you have to put aside. Budget is the amount of money you have to put aside to cover the project cost. So this is a budget for January, budget for February, and so on. Okay, so budget is spending plan. Your friend asks you, let's go to karaoke. You say no cost or no budget? No budget, huh? Why you do say no cost? That's the difference, right? That's the difference between cost and budget. Okay, so control costs. Okay, control costs. So use tools and technique called earned value management. Okay, so to control costs, use earned value management. So earned value management can help you to determine whether a project is on time and within budget. Okay, so earned value management can tell you, okay, right now whether your project is on time or whether your project is late, ahead of schedule, whether you have overspent or you have underspent. Okay, quality management. Quality management I will skip all because you're covered in chapter 3. Let's take a 10 minutes break.